more reserved. You know, we tend to approach everything from the Western perspective, so we're pretty open about stuff. But not every culture is, and so just be aware of that. Touch, you know, touch is you know, in the psych setting we really discourage touch. Sometimes a little sideways hugs are okay. But you know, when you work with children, for instance, you know, it's really hard to remember that some of these kids have very destructive or very behaviors that aren't great. You know, they're just little and cute or whatever. But you're not there to be their mom or you're there to teach them what appropriate boundaries and stuff are. A lot of these kids have had their boundaries violated very early, so they have really a hard time knowing what's appropriate and what's not. So you always have to kind of be aware of your patient and their background and things like that. Look at them culturally as well as you know, and don't just assume because you think something's one way that they're going to think that too. Sometimes you have to ask them. If I want to know something, I ask a patient, are you comfortable with this? They'll tell me yes or no. You know? So remember, we all have that filter that we approach people with. We have our own cultures and our own things, the way we were raised, the way we were taught to think about things, our spiritual backgrounds, the way we see the world spiritually even. You know, it'd be very different from how a patient sees it. So you just ask them sometimes. If you're not sure, or if you think it might bother them, ask them. I figure you don't know unless you ask, right? So, when we look at the clinical interview then, which is what you're doing lots of times, you want to arrange your seating so that it's not intimidating to the patient. So you don't necessarily want to be across from each other with something in between or eye to eye. Sometimes sitting next to each other is better. It's less intimidating for the patient. They can look away when they need to. Or at a 90-degree angle, just so that you're not like this with each other. And because
yeah, it's like we have an issue because we have to have our back against the wall.
I know.
And that's so big. I had that issue where I'm sitting at a table doing my interview and a patient comes up and sits, pushes his chair and sits behind me. And it's just like, awkward. Now what do I do? Because now I lost that connection with her.
Right. A lot of times in that setting, I always take the chairs, I put them against the wall at a 90-degree angle, so no one can get behind her and no one can get behind me.
Because I went into her space, so that's why
right.
I didn't have control of it.
Yeah, and sometimes, especially at places like Arrowhead, you need to take control of setting up your environment. So you say, let's come over here, we'll put a couple chairs here. And you find a corner of the room where you can see what's going on and she can see what's going on, or your other person.
That corner so we see
and
everything.
yeah, and so that you've got the chairs maybe at a 90-degree angle or next to each other against the wall. You know, sometimes you have to make your space. Because yeah, Arrowhead's kind of a special situation, it's a really special place.
Yeah.
Special place.
Which you guys don't get to.
Yeah, but that's true in any psych environment. You know, you've got to make sure that you have a good idea what's going on in the room around you. Because just because you're at a facility like Los Encinas where there's a more mix of patients doesn't mean that someone can't go off on a unit, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, you know, and that happens. So it's because in the psych setting, a lot of our patients have very unpredictable behaviors, and that's why they're there.
So in that case, because at least in Arrowhead, it seems like there's a lot of open spaces where people can sit, but then how do you protect confidentiality? Because if you take them down the hall, put it and sit at a 90-degree angle, anybody can walk in and out, and they get it there. At least in our unit, because I'm in the triage, they seem to be attracted to seeing, like, if more than one person is talking, they want to see what you're talking
Oh,
about.
sure, they do.
And then they start circling around. So how do you protect the patient's privacy, yet do your work and ensure that everybody's okay?
Well, sometimes I just ask a patient, can we help you with something?
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I mean, I ask them, can we help you, or do you want to join? You know, sometimes, especially at Arrowhead, there's like no secrets, okay? They all know each other's business anyway, so sometimes in those situations, I end up sitting with a couple of people, and we share about something in general.
We were just saying, they're all intrusive though. They're
Yeah.
like, what you doing? Can't talk about them.
Yeah.
They're in there.
And that's part of their disorders and stuff too.
Yeah.
Especially if you have someone who's got like a paranoid flavor to what's going on, you know? What can I say? You know, but they worry that you're talking about them, right? They think, what are they talking about? It's about me, right? It's all about me. You know, that's just part of their disorder. And so you just acknowledge, hey, we're having a conversation right now, not about you. You know, we're just talking with each other. If you like, I can maybe spend some time talking with you later. You know, so you basically have to redirect sometimes. So that's, and that takes practice, you know. So, and Shirley's an awesome resource, so she'll help you like with specific arranging and things like that. She's really great.
I think if you had just said the right thing, though. If you promised it.
That you're gonna come talk to him,
You
you
better
better
follow.
go.
Yeah, no, it's true.
But that's why I don't wanna tell somebody, oh, I'm gonna come and talk to you, to somebody I really don't wanna talk to. So I
Well,
need to find
you have
another
to
way
be
to
genuine, yeah.
have them go away.
Yeah, or you just say, you know, right now I'm having a conversation with Miss whatever. You know, and so we would appreciate some privacy. That's all you have to say. You don't have to promise anything. You just say, right now, this is a private, you know, we're just talking,
True. Makes sense.
right? Just redirect.
They're just so unpredictable.
You know, they'll probably use, like, I've been called names like you wouldn't believe. I used to answer to things that, if my kids had said that, I would have smacked them, but yeah.
Right.
But, you know, this is the setting, I overlooked that and I said, well, you know, it's fine, whatever, just, right
Yeah.
now, I'm busy. See ya. I am very directive at times.
Right.
But I think you have to be though, you
Mhm.
Yeah.
have to be.
Yeah.
Cause
Yeah.
like the reading kind of beating around the bush, that might not even connect, especially
No,
the type of communication,
because
so.
they don't know what you mean, you can't
Yeah.
be subtle.
Yeah,
You have to say, right now, I'm having a conversation with this person.
yeah.
And, you know, if it's someone you don't mind talking to, you can say, maybe later on, we will have a chance to talk. Or you can say, we need some privacy right now. So we'd appreciate if you just went away.
Go to the dinner.
Right?
Well, I do have
Whatever.
to say, yeah, exactly.
Go away.
There are relationships in my life that I'm not direct in my communication. And so I, like last weekend specifically, tried to be direct in communication with my mom, and it didn't necessarily go well, but at least it felt good to me to be like, okay, instead of beating around the bush, which I normally do with her, you know, it's just, so,
We all have people in our lives like that,
I'm just getting,
you know?
it's even, I'm just saying, my point, I guess, is that it's dealing with these patients now, I'm better able to deal with my mom.
Communication.
I don't even like that, but that's true, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you do.
You want to avoid arguing, minimizing, or challenging patients, right? That would be good. Don't give false reassurance, don't question or probe about really sensitive things. So if you sense that you're opening something up that might be sensitive, you can just back off a little bit. If they want to tell you more, they will, but you don't have to pursue every line of thing that comes up. You know, so that's your basic thing. And then, keep focused on facts, on the patient's perceptions of things. And you can validate your perception. It seems to me that you're trying to say this. And you ask them, is this what you mean? You know, or they'll use a word and you'll say, how do you mean that? Because you really don't know what they mean. And some of our patients make up words, and so sometimes it's a good idea to ask them, what do you mean by that? I'm not really sure. You know, and again, you can make observations about their behavior. You say you're happy, but you look really sad. Or you look angry about this. You say you're fine, but you don't look fine. You know, this is how you look to me. And they can validate that they're feeling that way, or they can say, yeah, I don't really want to talk about it. And that's okay too. Be attentive listener and pay attention to nonverbal stuff. Those are the sort of the wrap-ups. Yes.
When do you bring them back to reality? I feel like.
Whenever you can.
Because our patient, I mean, one of my patients was like, I'm gonna put the pacers and I'm gonna do this and.
But it has his how long have you been on meds?
I think that
or
was
not.
like I think an hour into.
Yeah, well, see, they're gonna see basically what happens with, especially with patients that are delusional or grandiose, until their meds kick in, you know? So essentially you would say, wow, you know, those are some exciting plans, but I think it takes a lot of work to become a member of one of those teams. Right? So you're not saying, hey, I believe you. You know?
No, we had the same thing with a guy said he was going to be a Dodger. He went to tryouts. And-
baseball.
Yeah, I was like, that's interesting. It must be like that time of the season, I guess. I
Oh,
don't
they're all
follow
saying that or
sports.
something?
No, maybe the sports teams
Oh,
are happening right now, the
Oh.
tryouts.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, cause he's
But
like,
this guy-
I'm out there.
I was thinking about him.
The white glove.
I was thinking about him last night, though. Not about him, but the
Really?
situation. what's really going on. But he is calm.
Sure.
He's very, he doesn't
Oh,
get
yeah.
upset, he's not, so it's like he's not compliant with the medication, but he doesn't understand, so I don't know if they're gonna ever make him take the medication.
Yeah, he was articulate, I mean,
Yeah.
But
physician
half a
says,
second, you kinda like,
Oh,
I don't know if
this
you wanna
guy's-
believe him, but he just
give him
seems
5
so-
minutes.
Yeah. Well,
It was
the
in there.
thing is, a lot of our patients can seem to function better than they do actually function.
Yeah.
That's the difference. But you listen to the thread of their conversation, and you don't have to go, oh, wow, that's exciting when you go to tryouts, because obviously
They
that's not
did
happening,
say that.
you know?
The physician asked him, oh,
Yeah.
really?
Seriously?
What are you doing?
Okay.
And what's the name of the coach? Didn't he ask him what the name of
The
the
scout.
scout?
The
He said
scout.
his scout's name was Magnus. And Magnus.
Well, obviously then the doc is trying to see how
How far,
grounded it is,
yeah.
and how far is this delusion. But what you really wanna do is, you don't wanna call them an out and out liar, because you don't wanna get anyone agitated.
Right.
But what you wanna say is, wow, by understanding, it really takes a lot of work to get on one of those teams and change the subject, right? Isn't it a nice day today? Write something
Talking
neutral.
about that, I've met people in real life that are like such bad liars, like it's habitual, like it's just, but they're functioning.
Well,
How do
just
you-
because you're a
No,
liar doesn't mean
no,
you
like-
can't navigate life, okay? I mean.
Is that a sickness too?
Well,
They're just liars?
So
it gets
could be,
bad.
it probably could be mixed. It could be that some people really like to lie, and they believe their lies, and then there's some people who.
there are people that it's called confabulation. And what it is, especially in an older population, say they know they should know the answer to this question, but they can't remember, so they make it up, because they don't wanna seem
That's
stupid.
cute.
Yeah.
You know, and so that happens to a lot of patients when they're first like coming into dementia or some Alzheimer's kind of things, you'll see that. And other patients are they just live in this, people like have a hard time with reality sometimes. And so what you make up is so much better than reality, after a while you start to believe it. I think it is sort of a form of a disorder.
Yeah,
but
like this man was saying that he had like a child by a famous person, and he showed a picture of his child. Picture child, like it's not even a child. Like,
Now, that's a person who has some serious delusions going on.
no, but this person's not checked in or anything.
Yeah, no. You know, there are people that actually just like walk around and live in a fantasy world. That's, you know, you can't account for those. Our focus is really on the psychiatric patients that we've identified, okay? The identified psychiatric patients. All right. So,
Can I ask you, it is the physician's job at times, right, to push them?
yeah, sure it is.
Because we want this therapeutic conversation because
Right.
we're there
But
to-
sometimes the physician wants to see how
Yeah.
out of touch are they really.
But also to
you
bring
know.
them back to reality,
Mhm.
I heard that there was one
Yeah.
time where they did aggravate them because when they couldn't keep up the lies, they got frustrated and they were able to realize, whoa,
Yeah.
is this real?
Yeah,
And
but
it kind of
that,
puts
but,
them,
but the doctor, that's the doctor's role.
that's the doctor's role,
You know,
yeah.
and as you become like, if
Definitely,
you're,
I
if
don't
you're a
wanna do that.
therapist, or like sometimes in my position when I'm working with patients, I'll confront some of their behaviors and stuff. You know, but in this role, you're not really gonna be confronting those behaviors. Mostly you wanna learn how to use the skills, and you wanna learn how to internalize the communication skills. And funny enough, you'll find that as you start to get well versed in them, they actually work in your real life. You know, sometimes knowing when not to say something is important as knowing when to say something. So I have a little activity today, and if we can get into like, probably just pair up with one other person. And you get to like pick a communication skill, and then you guys get to role play that particular skill with a person. We might have to have like one group